Good morning, ladies and gentlemen from all over the world. You Swiss folks, hello. You people in Mexico, India, Guatemala, Japan, Canada, USA, UK, everywhere else. This is Rusty 78609 in Central Texas, live and in color. And it is, right now, it is 61 top down degrees. It's supposed to be 75 degrees Fahrenheit here today. And the low tonight's supposed to be in the 50s. And it's going to be like that for several days. I think the winter in Central Texas has just about ended. For you new guys, I full-time RV'd for about 20 years, pulled a travel trailer, and I also go camping in a car, a Toyota Prius now. And I've done that for about 4 years. So if you're interested in car camping or RVing, check out my playlist on my homepage at Rusty78609. And why do I do that every time I do a video? Because 70% of the viewers are new. Believe it or not. Anyway, it is a wonderful day and I'm going to have a fun video. This is what I call a fun video. And when you hear what I'm going to talk about, you're going to think it's going to be fun too. So here we go. Do you remember your first kiss? Doesn't that give you chills? Huh? Can you remember the first time you were kissed or you kissed someone? Huh? Can you do that? Can you remember who it was? Huh? Can you remember where it was? Huh? Can you remember exactly where it was? Can you remember the exact moment? Can you remember when? You know, how old you were? When all these things, springtime things, started happening? Huh? Well, think about that and I'll tell you about me. I'm 71 years old. I was born in 1945 in a small town in South Texas, and believe me, back then there was no television, or very, very, very little, and very few people had one. You had the radio, and that was about it, okay? So having said that, give you a little backdrop here. The kids, when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of experience about that kind of stuff because, you know, the movie theater, we had movies every now and then, but, you know, the movies then were PG times 10, you know. I mean, you know, if somebody kissed in a movie, that could get them a triple X rating back when I was growing up. So we didn't get to see a lot of that, okay? And, you know, maybe we might have seen our parents or somebody else do it, you know, kiss, but it would have been rare, okay? So we were not the most experienced people in the world towards opposite sex, okay? And, but I'll tell you my story. I remember it well. I'm not going to name the girl, though. I mean, I remember her name, but she's dead now. She died a year ago, and actually I had a dream last night about her. You know, I don't know that we were ever in love, or whatever you call it, but we sure liked the hell out of each other, I'm telling you. She was one of my best friends. She really was. I mean, for some reason, we just got along. Her father worked for a company called, well, I better not, well, like at Lane Wells, was an oil field company, and Kennedy, Texas was kind of an oil boom town, off and on and off and on. And anyway, they came there with the company. And I was probably in the second grade when she arrived. And anyway, they lived in a house close to the Little League playing field, all right? And remember, I lived in the country. And this was, the setting is like 1954, 5, 6, in that range. I'll be more specific in a minute. And every now and then I would either ride my bicycle into town or walk or whatever, but I'd go into town and I had a few friends and stuff, and they did town things, and I thought that was fascinating. I didn't know much about that stuff. They played baseball and they played sandlot football and stuff. I didn't know anything about it, particularly baseball. I knew absolutely nothing. But anyway, I'll get to the point here in a minute. But anyway, this girl lived next to the Little League ballpark, or on the side street. Well, they were going to have Little League tryouts in a week or so, and my mother, or I mentioned it to my mother because they gave us something at school to take home to our parents, because I think there was a small fee, wasn't much, pennies, but you had to be signed up. One of your parents had to sign you up. And anyway, I went into town, and at that time, I would just walk into a store and pick something up, and by some miracle, I never got arrested for stealing, but the owner would just put it on my family's account, and that's the way that was. I bought clothes and candy and all kinds of stuff and never reached in my pocket. It was just an honor system, and apparently it worked because I never heard my parents say a word, and I never heard one of the store owners say a word either. So I went to Western Auto, the only place in Kennedy, Texas, population about 2,000 at that time, the only place that you could possibly find a baseball glove, and I got one. This was a week before Little League tryouts. And I remember talking to the baseball players, and they said, "Oh, you got to oil your glove, you got to do all this crap and get it, you got to get it seasoned or whatever." Well, I didn't know exactly what all that meant, and I didn't even have a baseball. Okay, but I did have a glove. And so I went home and I got some oil that we used and stuff on the tractors and stuff, and boy, I went to work on that glove. But anyway, got the glove all ready for the baseball season. I was going to be a Little League champion. I didn't know it. I didn't even know how to keep score in baseball. I didn't know what innings were or outings or any of that crap. Nothing. I just remember my friends played, and I'd watch every now and then, and they knew all those games. They knew them all. I didn't know any of them. But anyway, I've said that. But anyway, so the day of the Little League tryouts, here I go into town with my little glove, and I'm ready. I'm in my mind, I'm a baseball playing dude, because I didn't have anybody to throw me a ball. My brother wouldn't do it. He was 6 years older, and he thought it was stupid. And my sister sure as hell wouldn't do it. I never even asked him. My daddy was, I don't think they didn't want, my parents weren't into sports, okay? So anyway, they were good people. I liked them, okay? But anyway, so I get to the Little League field, and it was, in the evening, probably 6 p.m.-ish. And, all the young boys were there for the Little League tryouts. And, the coaches were there because, they chose up teams somehow, I don't know how they did it, shit. But anyway, I was there and I was ready to go. I had my glove, I'm ready. Well, my name never came up. I thought, well, shit. How can they know I'm that bad? I hadn't even played yet. They hadn't even seen me do my deal yet. They haven't seen me do my best act. So anyway, I walked around there and I thought, well, what am I supposed to do? Because back then you didn't dare interrupt an adult when they were talking. That just didn't happen. And rarely would you even speak to an adult. Okay, that just didn't happen much either. And you sure didn't question a coach. So anyway, I stood around there for a little bit, and finally, it quieted down a little bit. And walked up to this guy, I remember Coach Sampson, and I said, "Coach, nobody called my name." And he said, "Well, just a minute." So he pulled out this list of names, and he looked down and he said, "Well, Rusty, your name's not on here." I thought, well, why is that? He said, "Well, I guess your mom forgot to register you for the Little League stuff." And I thought, well, it's very possible she did. It didn't hurt my feelings at all, because I really didn't want to play the damn game anyway. I just did it because my buddies were doing it, and I had me a glove. that I couldn't take back because I'd already greased the crap out of it. So anyway, they're starting their tryouts and doing crap, throwing balls up in the air and hitting balls and crap, and I'm standing there behind the catcher's area where they got this big high fence thing to keep people from getting hit by a foul ball. And so I was standing back there, and there was several people in the stands because their kids were there, and there was parents and grandparents. It was a big deal in Kennedy, Texas. I promise. There was a crowd. So I was standing there, and I thought, well, shit, I don't know, what am I supposed to do now? So anyway, I was just walking around, and I walked around behind the grandstands, and guess who was there? Oh, what's her name? And my little eyes just went, ding! To hell with baseball. To hell with baseball. I immediately forgot all about the pain of not being able to play Little League baseball. I mean, immediately that pain went away. There wasn't much anyway, but whatever was left was gone. It was, well, we're going to call her Anna, even though that's not her name. But anyway, Anna and I, we really liked each other. And she had the most beautiful blue eyes. I'll never forget that. She was the only person I knew that had blue eyes. I mean, if she'd have told me to commit suicide, I probably would have done it or tried. But anyway, but we were good friends, and we talked a little bit. And so I don't know whether, I'm sure she was the one that initiated everything because I was so damn stupid. But anyway, we ended up at the back. There was a building next to the Little League field where we had Boy Scout meetings. It was probably 15 feet wide by about 30 feet long, and it had front steps and back steps. And it faced the Little League field, so you could go around behind the Little League, behind the scout hut, and no one could see you. You'd be in total privacy, okay? So anyway, I'm sure I followed her, but I'm not going to give her all the credit, even though she probably deserves it. We went behind the scout hut, and we were standing there, and we were talking. And I remember, we had in school. I wasn't in high school. I was probably the third grade, fourth grade, that range. And but in our schools, we had what they called a cloak room. It was a little room at the back of the classroom where you would go in and hang up your coats. Even though it never got very cold, we'd put our jackets in there and stuff. Even, I don't know, it was just a little room in the back of the classroom, had a wall. I mean, it was a separate little room, but it was called the cloak room. But I can remember meeting meeting Anna in the cloak room. And we would just, I don't know, I mean, we never kissed there, but, we'd hold hands and all that. I mean, that was about, hell, that was like having sex back then, was to hold hands. God almighty. But anyway, there we are at the back of the scout hut, and man, I don't remember the exact details, but I do remember we kissed. We did. I mean, we kissed. I mean, but it was like, the old lip mashers, you know what I mean? There was no tongue involved at all. No French kiss, no tongue swapping and all that shit. It was just, you just pressed your lips, like we just pressed lips, okay? Well, hell, that was 10 times better than having sex, I guarantee you. I mean, shit. I mean, and we did it once, and it was good, so we did it some more. And I thought, shit, man. I mean, I couldn't even remember when I was in town then. I mean, as far as Little League, that was completely gone, completely forgotten. But anyway, we kissed. We did. I mean, I remember it just as clearly. It almost gives me chills to think about it now because I can feel that feeling. It was like, when your hair stands up on your arms, you know what I mean? It's just an electric feeling. Well, anyway, I had it. Well, anyway, we fooled around there a little bit, held hands, went back to the Little League deal, and she went her way eventually, and I went my way. I went back home. But then, later, after we had broke the ice on this kiss deal, from then on, when we would meet in the cloakroom at school, we would hold hands and kiss. Ho, 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 this thing is getting out of hand. Ho, ho, ho. But anyway, it's also Valentine's Day coming up, so that probably ties into Valentine's Day, you know what I mean? But for those of you that can remember your first kiss, I mean, of course, back in the 50s, I mean, that was like rare, okay? You know, I mean, unbelievable. But I remember that. Unbelievable. I mean, God dang. So crazy, man. So crazy. So crazy. But yeah, if you held a girl's hand, shit, that was you might as well be married. I'm telling you, man, it was that serious. And another thing we got into about that time was blowing kisses. I'm sure you've done it. Maybe you haven't. You know, you kiss your palm of your, or the fingers on your hand, and then you blow on your hand, and it blows that kiss supposedly over to another individual. You got me? Well, I can remember Anna, so to speak, in the classroom, and she would kiss her little fingers and go like that, and I could actually feel it. Shit. I mean, I could feel that kiss hit me. Boom. Yo. Ah. Well, anyway, that's why I call it a fun video, guys. That's because, you know, I'm 71 years old. You know, I've had good times, bad times. We all have. You know, you have good days, good years, bad years. Sometimes those years go on for several. I don't know. But that is the first kiss story. And for those of you that can remember that, when it was, where it was, who it was, if you want to feel good, if it was a good moment for you, which I hope it was, man, that ought to lighten your day a little bit. You know, I mean, you could almost call that your first love, I guess. But love wasn't a word to me then. It was, I don't remember ever. I do remember. I did love another girl. I thought I did. I just heard the word love, and I thought it was neat. And there was this girl I had the quote hots for when I was about 12 years old, other than Anna. And I had a friend of mine who he was much more mature, I guess you'd say, than I was. And even though we were in the same grade, and he would talk to girls. You know what I mean? He'd just go right up to them and talk to them, say anything. I couldn't even talk to him. He'd do it for me. He'd go up to him and he'd say, "Rusty wanted to tell you this or that." Yeah. And when he found out that I was, quote, in love with this one girl, he put a nickel in the payphone and called her on the damn phone and said that Rusty just wanted to tell you he loves you. Well, hell, you could have pushed me over with your finger. But I couldn't do that. I was too shy. I mean, this little old country boy, living out in the country like I did, you just weren't around people a whole lot. And when you came to town, well, boy, that was country boy come to town. But anyway, Anna, dog. Memories. In fact, back then, we went on a high school trip our senior year. Okay, this is many years later. She was still in Kennedy. And we went on a high school trip to a place near Bandera, Texas. And back then, you stayed overnight. And so there was a resort where, we had raised money and we stayed overnight at this resort. And hell, I can remember me and Dana, man, or me and Anna, God damn it. Me and Anna, man, oh man. We probably should have gotten married. Well, she was better off. She married an attorney out in California and lived a good life with apparently a good guy. I was not. I was what you call a rounder. I mean, I was I got in and out of trouble. I had race cars. I got put in jail for racing cars one time. And I drank a little beer every now and then. and they sure didn't like any of the things I did. I was not the most popular kid with parents, but didn't matter. Me and old Anna got along just fine. Anyway, guys, this is this is Buckhannon Dam, Lake Buckhannon in Central Texas. I'll pull up here and let y'all look at the lake while I end this video. It's 22,000 acres of lake in Central Texas, USA, formed by the Colorado River, and it is a beautiful place. The lake is full now, and fortunately, and it looks really good. But anyway, guys, remember your first kiss. Golly. Anyway, thumbs up. Carpe diem. Adios. Bye-bye. Buy USA made when you can. Take deep breaths. Drink plenty of water. Stretch. Walk. Keep your health, and maybe you can get another kiss. Anyway, bye-bye.